Fortnite esports is back, and in these crazy times of social distancing, I'm so happy that we finally have something fun to watch. But of course, with an FNCS or any kind of tournament in Fortnite, there is drama soon to follow. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today I want to give my thoughts on the FNCS, the broadcast that's being put on by Bala TW and Shio Wager, as well as the drama coming from the NA East finals with Kryo, Bucky, Slacks, and Keys allegedly colluding and working together. So let's dive right on in. Firstly, I'd like to give a special shout out to Bala TW and Shio Wager for holding it down all weekend with casting and coverage for the FNCS. Also, shout out to their production team as well. Without the effort of all these people, we'd be watching individual perspectives, which is just way less entertaining. That said, I'm really annoyed and bothered that Epic seemingly has Fortnite esports on autopilot with minimal effort on their end, but that's a totally different topic for another day. Also, I'm a little sick, so if I sound a little scuffed, you'll know why. Anyways, by now I'm sure you know that Ghost Bizzle reposted a video in this tweet exposing Kryo, Bucky, Slacks, and Keys for allegedly colluding for storm tags throughout the FNCS warm-up and Week 1 finals. The video is pretty damning as it shows the four players in question getting tags on each other in every single game, but instead of telling you, let's just go ahead and roll the footage. So at a first glance, that definitely doesn't look good, and if you ask me, it does seem like they are leaving themselves open and trading a lot of shots without either team committing to a fight. Another issue that you can see is not only were their decisions and the way that they decided to play the situation persistent and consistent over the course of 1 week, it was actually over the course of 2 weeks during the FNCS warm-up and the FNCS Week 1. So whoever actually put together this video was not only monitoring their decision making in Week 1, but also throughout the warm-up. Now, we've actually seen a lot of pros on Twitter kind of back and forth in support of Kryo, Bucky, Slacks, and Keys, and also against them. So it's just a very divisive argument. I've specifically seen a lot of support from players like Connor Rio talking about this situation. He actually tweeted this: "Can we talk about how Kryo FN made a freaking $1 million off this game at LAN? Why the heck would he cheat for $4,000? Also, other pro players such as Clicks giving his opinion on the topic, and various tweets coming out from various pro players just in support or actually against these players for the alleged cheating." The issue with proving this type of collusion is that it's basically impossible to 100% confirm and really comes down to a subjective ruling by Epic Games based on their own internal investigation. As of writing this script, the news is out that both duos, Kryo, Bucky, Slacks, and Keys, were in fact banned for 60 days and removed from first and second place on the FNCS leaderboards. A pretty divisive decision made by Epic in a very short amount of time with no official ruling to the public, but it is clear that Epic saw the situation on social media and conducted their own investigation and made the decision that they were guilty of cheating. I personally think it's important to understand something about this entire situation. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you believe. The original video that was posted on Twitter as proof of the collusion was enough to get the dialogue started, and once it reached Epic, it was up to them to decide if they are guilty or not and what that punishment should be. I also want to explain why the 60-day ban should not be compared to the 14-day ban of Ziff and Ronaldo back during World Cup qualifiers. It's simple. Ziff and Ronaldo got off easy with a 14-day ban, but it's clear that Epic now takes collusion and cheating much more seriously with this 60-day ban. This new ban should be seen as Epic Games setting a new precedence for cheating in Fortnite. But let's get back on topic. Bucky actually released a statement regarding this situation. He had this to say: "Everyone has their own storm surge route/techniques. We know where people land due to maps that are made by third parties. If we have unlimited shield, the impact on our game that taking a bloom battle with another team is very minimal. Our loot route directs us to that one truck with the chest at it. By the time we are there, they are done with their loot route. They end up at the slurp truck and we end up shooting each other since we cross paths. Even when other teams land at Slurpy Swamp, we bloom battle them because there is unlimited shield. There have been multiple times in scrim/tournaments where we kill each other because we get triple dinked or naded." Under Bucky's statement, we actually saw a response from Kryo and Bala. Kryo said, "We play the same scrims every day for 8 hours with the same players. We know where everyone lands and their routes. Why wouldn't we apply our knowledge and strats and scrims to a tournament? Bala replied and said, "The underlying problem with this is if every team started coming to these implied agreements, it would ruin the game." And to that I 100% agree with Bala here. If we ignore any potential signs of collusion, it opens the door to normalizing these micro forms of cheating, and ultimately it would change the way that Fortnite's played forever. Instead of having skilled players making it to endgame, we would have a game full of teams efficiently trading tags for Storm Surge, colluding their way to endgame. Ultimately, it's not something we can ignore, and even if there's a slight suspicion, it deserves to be looked into. Following this whole situation this morning, we have Cypher PK sharing his thoughts. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
These 4 pro players are being accused of teaming because they both land Slurpy Swamp, and they basically split Slurpy Swamp loot. So like they agree not to fight each other in Slurpy, but they always meet up. They shoot at each other a couple times to avoid Storm Surge. Warm up game 3, warm up game 4, game 6, game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're working together in Slurpy. They're tagging each other up for Storm Surge. You know, knowing Slurpy, you can get your shield back up normally. What's the end result? They got first place and second place in the tournament. And now everyone's accusing them of cheating, collaborating, teaming, whatever that is. First of all, these guys were obviously collaborating about the drop spot. Like they were not, you know, attacking each other. And sure, they might have said, hey, you know, let's tag each other up for Storm Surge. Everyone does this. Everyone, not exactly this, right? But I guarantee you, out of the 50 teams in the qualifiers, so many pro teams share drop spots. They mutually agree, we're not going to be stupid and fight each other at the drop. Now, this whole Storm Surge sharing thing, that takes it a step further. But naturally, the natural progression of like playing optimally, even without 2 teams talking to each other, being like, hey, let's tag each other up for Storm Surge. Naturally, if both teams play extremely smart, they're going to come to an agreement without even speaking to each other, or without even like making any signals to each other. Like, hey, it might not be a bad idea for both of us to tag up each other, especially in Slurpy Swamp. Now, these guys 100%, like, I'm going to bet my money that they had a conversation before the tournament started. They're like, hey guys, you know, you take this side, we take that side. You guys shoot us a couple times, we're gonna shoot you a couple times. Do they deserve to get punished for that? Yeah, they do. This whole Storm Surge mechanic that they put in the game however long ago, that hasn't changed since it was put in the game from however long ago, it completely needs to change. It's not even like the mechanic itself is dumb. These guys, okay, they definitely coordinated beforehand. There was a lot of coordination. They made it really obvious, right? They weren't even really trying to be like, I don't know. This is just like a little too much, like the way they're going about it. It's like too coordinated, too, you know, but this kind of already happens. This already kind of happens naturally. It just naturally happens.
So there was a lot of thoughts packed into Cypher's video, and his opinion has some serious implications. First and foremost, I want to agree with Cypher that Storm Surge is a terrible mechanic and is flawed from the start. The only reason Storm Surge exists is to thin the player count due to an inability for the servers to handle a dense player count going into the late game, thus leaving room for players to find ways to cheat and trade tags to add to their damage totals. That said, another major point from Cypher was that every pro team has these forms of mini alliances all across the map for control of drop spots. With unspoken rules about how they split POIs for loot, you can often find multiple teams looking at named locations and both walking away without a fight. I personally call this baseline collusion. In my experience with Fortnite or BRs as an esport, I have found that this baseline collusion and understanding between the highest level players is something that the Fortnite community just needs to accept about the way that the game is played. The tricky part is understanding when the line is crossed from baseline collusion to a deeper premeditated plan between teams and players in order to gain an advantage. This is where I personally believe Creo, Bucky, Slacks, and Keys made their mistake. It is a bit too obvious that they were trading shots for storm tags, and at that point they crossed the line of baseline collusion and sharing a drop spot, or just being smart and deciding not to fight. This was a pre-planned series of actions to allow each of them to gain an advantage over the rest of the server by getting more damage. Kryo actually posted a short response on Twitter saying this: "Wish we at least had the opportunity to explain/defend ourselves without everyone hopping on the bandwagon. Also wish Fortnite did some sort of investigation/asked us some questions." In short, I'll say that Epic 100% did their own internal investigation, whether big or small, it doesn't matter, and I don't really see what's stopping any of these 4 players from releasing their side of the story and coming out with their own defense. Ultimately, if they're innocent, then they should have quite a bit to say or prove. To close on this whole discussion, I want to briefly show you some of the tweets that I made last night where investigator Krashy sprung into action to dig deeper into any potential evidence of the situation. So this is a little silly, but I personally went to Slack's Twitch channel and watched his VODs from 11 and 15 days ago where he and his duo partner Keys were playing pro scrims in the same server as Kryo and Bucky. Over the course of about 6 total hours of footage, these two teams would cross paths in the same place about 90% of the time roughly, and it almost never looked like what we saw from the FNCS warm-up or FNCS Week 1. To summarize, the footage we saw from the FNCS appears very scripted, and not nearly as natural as what I saw over the course of those 6 hours worth of scrims. During the scrims, you would oftentimes see them take shots at each other in different locations, not necessarily near the truck, or they would actually like ambush each other and fight. So it's just very, very different. But as always, I want to pass it to you with the question of the day. Do you think these players were cheating? Is the 60-day ban from Epic too harsh? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. It's been a bit since I felt like talking about Fortnite, but you guys know I love to do it, so thanks for checking out the video, and if you aren't already, subscribe to the channel and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. So thanks again, I'll see you guys on the next one.
Do you feel your bones start shake? Do you feel the earthquake? Do you feel the fire inside of me? Do you see the sparks that I'm setting free? Does the beat take you over? You just